you are a really well-established neuroscientist, and you're an active part of the LGBTQIA plus community. So, as researchers, how do you think we can involve sensitivity and empathy in our daily lives, and project it from our work, and just be really nice to each other? What are different ways to do that as a scientist, in your opinion?
Wave beats music.
I mean, the same way as one would do it as a non-scientist, I guess, except that we have, I think, specific responsibilities given our field, especially in neuroscience, of bringing, people still think that scientists and biologists and neuroscientists think that socialization doesn't affect the brain. I mean, that's just not true. Anyone in the field knows that that's not true. It's not the idea that we don't think that and that there's evidence, against biological essentialism. It hasn't reached people. So that's one form of, that's one kind of work that we really need to do. We need to do this with social scientists. We need to do this with lay people who aren't in academia at all. And secondly, I really, really think that if some of the understanding of neurodiversity and many of these things sort of happens at a school level, that we would, not have to, we haven't pushed for neuroscience to be taught in any substantive way at school. Of course, one worries about anything being taught in school because of how it will be taught in school. But I think it's still better than people really going through 12 years of education without understanding the organ that produces 12 years of education. Right? I mean, it's really, and not as an organ, like it's this big or this wide, not that kind of stuff that tends to make it to school books, but really, how is thought produced, right? How are thoughts changed? How is this education changing your brain? How do you have to worry about the ways in which your brains make mistakes for learning? All brains make some kinds of mistakes by learning through association. What are the problems with having a Bayesian brain, right? What does that mean for the ways in which one stereotypes? So, all of these, I think, are important lessons that need to be taught at school level. So I do think we need to, as neuroscientists, push for some of those understandings to shift. And thirdly, I think we do have a responsibility with respect to certain types of research that we do, simply because to this day, a lot of questions about the ways in which a morality would change what we seem to think of as hard facts about how groups of people perform in a very ableist capitalist society. I think our understanding of those things continues to be very bigoted and very limited by the world we happen to see, with very few experiments trying to look at what other forms of socialization would create, right? To make the case from a neural perspective for for the ways in which an equal society would then change the ways in which brains are socialized, and then the ways in which brains would behave collectively. So I think some of those ideas are really discouraged by the system, and I think it's important to think about those things.
That we come to the end of the Science Jam, and I would really like to thank Dr. Bittu for joining us for this beautiful discussion that we had.
And thanks a lot, Dr. Bittu, for joining us today. The Science Jam is
Of course.
ways to tell the younger generation that there's so many things that you can do in science and not just medicine and engineering. And I think this was a very interesting book, and I'm 100% sure that they're going to learn so much more and a lot of new things from after watching the Science Jam. So thanks a lot for joining us today.